So if you're struggling studying to pass the insurance exam and you think it stinks, then this is the video for you. We're going to give you three top tips on how to pass the insurance exam so you can actually sell insurance. And I have none other than this is Melissa Dillon of the Insurance Exam Queen here to give us those tips and give us some help on how to pass exam. So Melissa, how you doing today?
I am so good. I'm so glad to be here and to help your people know how to pass the exam quickly, easily, and the first time, because that would be the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. So, what's the first tip of advice you'd give?
So the first tip is to like most people when they approach the exam, they're nervous, they're scared, they haven't studied in possibly a long time. And it's like you have to have your mindset on lock. So this is very important that you remain positive as you're going throughout the studying process. Because what tends to happen is people get invited to an incredible opportunity, such as working with the dig agency, where they provide everything you need. You just log in and answer phone calls. Like you get this amazing opportunity to be able to make a bunch of money, selling insurance, helping people, changing people's lives. And then you get this online course and you begin going into it and you start reading and you're like, I can't do this. This is hard. I don't understand what they're saying. Like, am I going to have to spend hours and hours of my time reading this stuff? And it immediately, like people just immediately drop. They go from this high excitement of I have this new opportunity. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be life changing. I'm going to make more money than I ever had before. All I have to do is pass this test. They log in to their online course like Excel, Kaplan, 80 Banker. They're all generally the same. You have this whole bunch of reading that you have to do, and it immediately like people get a sinking feeling in their chest, like I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to make it. And so this is why it's super important that you have this positive mindset going in that keep this like, I'm excited. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change my career. This is going to be amazing. This is going to change the financial future for the rest of my life, for my family. And if you can keep that as your focus and going into studying with a positive mindset, it actually allows you to study better. Because if you go into studying with this fear of, I can't do it, this is too hard, this is difficult, then it blocks your mind from being able to actually learn the information that you need to learn. So if you can keep this mindset, keep your focus on why you're going through this exam, why you're going through this process, what's on the other side of that, and you keep that your focus rather than the boring reading that is in your course, it will help you feel much better heading in. And I actually do have a YouTube channel on my YouTube channel, The Insurance Exam Queen. We have a about to study audio motivation where I've created like a 5-minute thing that you listen to that like pumps you up, gets you excited so that you can head into studying with this frame of mind of like, I'm going to make lots of money. I'm going to change my future. I'm going to help people set up the policies they need and then go into studying and you feel much better as you enter your studies.
What do you think the impact is on having a group that you're studying with somebody that is also along the same path? Do you feel that that helps with
That has been
achieving a positive
immense.
mindset?
Yes. So a lot of people, they do this all alone, right? Like they get invited to the opportunity to sell insurance and then they're all by themselves at home on a computer. And it's like such a struggle. And it's like you feel all alone in this world. So we actually have a Facebook group online and just type in Insurance Exam Queen on Facebook. It'll pop up.
Check
And
the
we have a
link below,
community
guys.
of over
We'll put the link below.
Yes, over 17,000 people all cheering each other on. And many people have stated it was the group, it was the people that helped me to be able to pass. Because people can actually post questions, they can get help, they can receive support inside the group so they feel like they're not alone.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like if you feel that kind of like overwhelming sense of dread that you got to pass an exam and it's been like years since high school since you had to do any of this stuff, it's helpful to have other people who are going through the process to get you on course and just stay the path. That's most of the battle. So tip
Mhm.
number two for passing
Yeah.
the exam.
So number two is to know what's important. And this is something that I discovered. So I'm the insurance exam queen because I started teaching the insurance exam with Exam FX. That's where I got my start at. And I worked with them and I became their most requested instructor because I had a very high pass rate. It was very rare that you can get, like they would send me out to, 30 people at an insurance company all needing to pass the exam on a certain date and I would get the majority of them passing on the very first time. And that was unheard of. And I became the most requested instructor. And they started sending me out to every different insurance company until I decided to do this on my own. But one of the biggest reasons I had the highest pass rate is because I would focus on what actually matters. So when you log into your course, ExamFX, Excel, 80 Banker, whichever one you have, they just give you all the information and they don't say, this is really important, this is not important, this is important, this not so much. Like you don't know what's important, what's not important. And like, for instance, I mean, I know this is uh, well, yeah, I mean, even like with the life and health insurance, the size of the chapter does not indicate the amount of importance. In fact, some of the smallest chapters could be highly tested, where some of the biggest chapters are actually not tested hardly at all. Like on the life and health exam, taxes, when you take your online quiz through your course, like ExamFX, whatever, you have to answer a minimum of 15 to 20 questions to be able to pass that chapter. And so you think that that's important, that you need to know this stuff. And that's like the hardest chapter for people to wrap their heads around, is the tax side of things. But it's like a very tiny percentage of your actual exam. So when you have 100 questions on your state exam, only 4 of them will actually be related to taxes. But based on the studying that you did, you're going to think that like half the exam is taxes because of how much you had to study and how much you had to learn it. So I always cater to what is most important, what is most tested. Every single state has an outline that will tell you, this is the chapter that you're going to be tested on. These are the concepts underneath that chapter. And here's how many questions are going to come from that chapter. So the bigger the amount of questions that will come from that chapter, the more important that chapter is. And so I will focus more on that chapter and then ignore some of the smaller chapters where it's just not highly tested. Additionally, I myself have taken numerous exams across many states. So from that chapter where you've got all these concepts you need to know, I know which concepts they tend to test more about than not. So for instance, with the life insurance chapter, you've got term life, whole life, universal variable, equity index, all these things, but they primarily focus on the difference between whole and term. So if you can know those and not worry so much about universal and whole life and all that, or variable, then you're going to be in a much better position to be able to pass that chapter. So I'm all about what's most important, what's most tested, because at the end of the day, you only need a 70% in most states to pass the exam. I focus on that 70%. You don't need to know 100%. There's no trophy for scoring 80%, like it doesn't matter. A pass is a pass. And in some states, they don't even tell you what you scored. They just tell you that you passed. So we don't need overachievers here. We just need pass exactly what you need. As long as you get a 70, that's all you need. I focus on helping people get that 70 so that they're not overwhelmed and they're not wasting time. That's one of the biggest things about knowing what's most important is if you spend hours and hours getting the lock on taxes to where you're like, yes, I fully understand them. You wasted hours of time you don't need. You're only going to see a handful, like 4 questions mostly on almost every state on taxes. And you spent the last week making sure that you understand taxes. Not worth your time. I want to eliminate the wasted time that people have. There's no reason you can use one weekend and be done. You can pass this exam in one weekend if you know what to focus on and what's most important. So on my website, The Insurance Exam Queen or Insurance Exam Queen, we have recommendations where you can click on your state and we will tell you what's most important so that you can focus on the highly tested topics and not get lost in the weeds of all the different crazy stuff that you don't actually need to know to be able to secure the pass.
Yeah, I'll emphasize a point you made earlier. I've recruited probably 4 or 5 thousand agents. I mean, it's up there. I don't remember one time that I asked, what grade did you get on the exam? It doesn't really matter what grade you get, just pass the thing. Because the real fun starts after you get past all the required licensure, right? And what you really need to know starts then, but you have to satisfy the government requirements, right? So the point being, which goes to your point, is figure out what is most impactful, right? To sit and learn so that you can have the higher odds of passing the thing. and don't spend time in the low odds stuff. So what would you say is the last tip, tip number three to passing the exam on the first time?
This sometimes usually I talk about this as the number one thing because it's the number one myth I think that people get and when they go to pass. And I see it all the time. I'm in Facebook groups all the time and people will give this advice, but it just doesn't work. And it's that as long as you take practice tests over and over again and you score an 80%, you should pass your state exam and be fine. That's what most of the feedback I see from insurance agents give advice to the people taking the test. The problem with this is that one, there are certain people who are able to read a question and extrapolate the information and be able to interpret, what it is they're looking for, even if the question is worded a little bit differently on the state exam, right? So I can look at a practice test question, I can read it, and then on the state exam, a similar type question, I'm able to figure it out. Not many people can actually do that. There's a rare type of person that can do that. But additionally, these tests and when you take Excel, Kaplan, 80 Banker, they all word their questions a little bit differently. And then the state exam words their questions a little bit differently. So you cannot, when you get so familiar with your practice exam, and then you go to take the state exam, some people feel like they didn't even study for the right thing. They're
Right.
like, this is not the test I studied for, because all they focused on was the practice exam questions inside their course, which do not exactly match the state exam questions. There's a lot of rules and regulations in place that prevent the course providers from having the same exact test questions. If they do have the same exact questions, they could actually be shut down. This has happened numerous times with different companies.
Sure.
So the practice exam people, like Excel, Kaplan, 80 Banker, they try to have questions that are similar, but they can't be exactly similar. Otherwise, they can be shut down. The other thing is like these test providers, they're all different in every state. So like I know because I got a 4-star review on my Google review page that Kaplan does match the state of Michigan really well, but Kaplan doesn't necessarily match another state. So
Right.
unless you know exactly your state and which provider is good for your state, it's just a crapshoot. You don't know what you're actually gonna get. So rather than doing practice, because there was a woman, I looked at her online course because at this time I was working at ExamFX. She had spent 190 hours taking practice exams. Like you could see how many hours she spent doing practice exams. She's like, I don't understand why I keep failing. I pass 100% with you guys. And I'm like, and I see like, 4 hours having read the course. I said, you have to go back to the material. You have to read the course. So she went back, she read the course, she passed the very next time. Now I, as the insurance exam queen, don't recommend reading the course. I recommend getting my videos. So on the insuranceexamqueen.com, we have videos that will help you learn the information without having to read, because the reading is the part that really messes people up. This is why people give the advice of just do practice questions, because reading is the terrifying. All the things you have to read, the words that don't make sense. They're
Sure.
defining insurance using the word insurance, and that doesn't really help. So I've created videos that show people the most tested, most common topics in a way that's easy to understand, in a way that makes sense. I'll even be like, if you read a question and it has this word in it, you're looking for an answer that has this word. Like I try to help people make connections so that they don't have to try and store every bit of information in their mind to be able to
Right.
pass. I like to make it super simple and super easy for people. And most people can just watch my videos and be able to pass from that alone. But we are technically a supplement to a state approved course. So we do recommend, Excel, Kaplan, 80 Bank, or whatever. If you can watch my videos before you even go into that course, it'll allow you to just breeze right through all the reading. You can just basically skip to the quizzes, take the quizzes, earn your certificate if you need that in your state, and then go on to pass the exam the first time. It takes most people 3 times to be able to pass. And a lot of people will give up by that point. They won't even
Right.
give themselves the third attempt because they're like, this is not for me. I give up. But like, it's not your job. Like the things you have to do on the test are not real life. The real stuff will begin after you pass the exam. So just get through this process. So maintain a positive mindset going in. Know what's most important by checking out my recommendations on my website. and bypass a bunch of the reading by getting our videos on the course. And we don't focus on practice questions. We focus on knowing the material, because if you know the material, you can answer any question any way that it's worded, without having to struggle. Like I
Right.
seriously have had so many people who say, I did the practice exams over and over, and I went to take the state exam, and I don't even think it was the same test.
Right.
The language is just so different between the practice test and the actual test.
So give us some links for anybody out there. And again, if you're struggling trying to learn this material, you're about to partake into the business of insurance and to get your license first, working with Melissa is a great idea. If anything, just to make sure you actually pass the thing, because it does bog down a lot of people. And there's people we talk to that say they can't wait to join the agency, but they can't pass the test and they're frustrated, and that kills their momentum, which is what kills agents, incidentally.
Yeah.
So, anyways, question to you, Melissa. Share some websites, links. Where can we find you so people can go and get your material and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, at a minimum, you just type insurance exam queen. We're gonna pop up somewhere everywhere. But our biggest places, we obviously have the YouTube channel. So we have tutorials and small videos that you can learn the information on the YouTube channel. We also have our website, the Insurance Exam Queen or Insurance Exam Queen, both work. And again, we have the recommendations on our website where you can read what's most important for your state. And then we recommend to everybody, as you're studying and passing, we have a gold class series package. It's $97 on our website. It teaches you the most common, most tested topics in a way that makes sense and that you can understand. And we have on our Google review page, if you type Insurance Exam Queen on Google Maps, you will see over 2,500 five-star reviews, most of them citing that gold is the reason that they passed. So if you don't want to waste time studying things that are not important, if you don't want to have your brain melt out of your head by trying to read the text, and you want to secure that first time pass, get the gold class series package on insuranceexamqueen.com and get that pass. Just get it done. Like, it's crazy to me how many people will say, I wish I would have gotten gold at the beginning. I would have
Right.
saved time and money. Every retest fee, every time you have to renew your online course with Excel or whatever, like we could avoid all of that if you are able to watch my videos, get everything you need to know to pass, and then pass the first time. I'm all about the first time pass. And
Right.
gold actually comes with a 90% first time pass rate.
So, a couple other things just to clarify. We've been talking a lot about life insurance. It's not just life insurance test prep that you provide, right? Can you dive into that a little
Yep.
more?
Yeah, we do property and casualty, personal lines, adjusting even, and then life and health, all the big main ones.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So, guys, if you look in the description below, you'll see the links to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, and the website. Make sure you click on that. Also, hit the like button if you enjoyed this kind of content. And Melissa, thank you for having us, or having me, or having you
Yeah.
on my channel, being here. All
You're so welcome. Thank you for having
right.
me. I
Thanks,
appreciate
Melissa.
it.
Thank you all. Take care. Bye.